Oh, hello there, mortal. Come closer. It's okay. You seem a bit more confused this time. That may be my doing. I have used some of my abilities to draw you to this graveyard. You see, I'm terribly bored at the moment and could do with a chat, to be quite honest. Back at the home I come from, everyone's rather dull at the moment, drained from recent events, you see. No one wants to talk. So I felt I may summon you here and have you listen if you want to partake. Good. That's good to hear. You're in for a delight. You see, I wish to talk to you about something known as the revival. Very interesting sound. Revival. Very interesting words to bring things back. And that quite literally is what the revival is. You see, I'm immortal. Vampires are by nature, but we're immortal in a way you may not expect. If a vampire is killed, by, of course, unnatural means, we can't get diseases, we don't age. But if something does happen, something that ends us, something unnatural like a bolt to the heart, there is one thing that can be done. If a vampire is burnt, it can still be done, which is a common misconception about killing our kind. If you burn us, remove our heads, we're gone for good. Wrong. It's a very well kept secret, one that's benefited us many times over. In fact, we allowed this to be misunderstood. When a vampire is dead, truly dead, destroyed or damaged greatly, beyond repair, you could say, we can burn the body or take the ashes from a burning done by our hunters, and providing we collect a very large amount of said body, we can revive that vampire. You see, the consciousness of a vampire is kept on what humans may refer to as an atomic level. It's a form of mysticism, magic, whatever you wish to call it, but my point is, a vampire is not within the brain, it's within every cell of its being. The moment it's turned, the pain is the consciousness spreading to the form, leaving the mind. Of course, our minds do still function as tools, but our consciousness is more in the matter now. So when a vampire is dead, we have to rearrange that matter. Now you may be thinking that we somehow put this ash into a pot or something ridiculous and just bring out a new vampire. It's not like that at all. In fact, it requires a new shell. A human shell, as it just so happens. When a vampire is gone and is ash, the ash is no more than the consciousness of that vampire. So, what we must do, and this is rather unusual to hear, especially as you're one of the first humans, I believe, to ever know about this, we need to capture the new shell, extract a rather significant amount of blood from the sacrifice and then mix it in with the remaining ashes of the vampire kind. Now, the next step is rather unexpectable. Sometimes the sacrifices shake a bit, sometimes they simply collapse and don't wake up for a while, and other times, well, let's just say less willing sacrifices fight a bit. It's all useless. The moment that blood of the victim themselves has been consumed by them, they've committed a rather deadly act of self-devouring. It's a very strange process, you must understand. To consume your own blood is rather regrettable. It's rather strange, and the dark forces that be consider certain amounts above an accidental or low amount in general. They consider it to be quite meaningful. It shows you're choosing to go along with something. There's no real way to act that this isn't dramatic, but I've been holding off on you. The truth is that the moment the blood is consumed, the vampire within the ash mixed into the blood begins to take over the vessel on a molecular level. It's absorbed through the bloodstream, and every individual atom is turned into that vampire. It's unusual, as you don't know what they'll look like afterwards. It's a renewal, a revival. As I say, the process of reviving allows for some alteration to be made. No vampire recalls being revived, but the unconscious mind, I suppose you could say, changes the subject, the vessel, the shell, into a way that vampire retrospectively says they actually prefer over their old form. I've undergone a revival, and I'm very, very pleased with how I currently look. I admire my form, but less about me and more about the process. The ash is, of course, the most important part of all of this. Now, if we are unable to acquire a large quantity of the ash, as long as we have an amount that is justifiable, which is hard to explain to you being so naive about such a process, we can bring back vampires from part of their consciousness. Let's say we only had half of the vampire's ashes. They'll come back, but they'll be less than they were. I'm not just talking about their qualities, they're broken, they're more dismantled. Fortunately for my protectors, my thralls, have managed to always remain the highest quantity of my ash. I've not lost more than 0.5%, I'm sure simply because my ability to remember and calculate such a precise figure would only be possible if I was so with it. Now, I hope this wasn't too overwhelming for you, and don't worry, I'm not planning on using you as a sacrifice, unless you're willing. We'll have more time for that later. I'm sure you'd rather join with our kind than sacrifice yourself to prolong one of us. Yeah, I can see it in your eyes, you human folk. When I look toward you, I become more like you. It's another secret of vampire life, you see. You have empathy. We have a much more precise and valuable form of empathy than you. We can literally enter your mind on a subconscious level and become like you, speak more like you when we try to. You see, as we are wholesomely ourselves in every atom, it allows more space within the mind to accommodate other kinds of consciousness. We can take on part of you. I can look at you and I can become more like you. Think of the words you use. Yeah. That's an interesting word. Yeah. Not one I particularly like to use myself, but looking at you makes it more easy to fall into your ways of speaking. Yes is a much more appropriate term in my opinion. Yes, I would like to go to the date with you, to the prom with you. I'd like to go to the ball, to the party. I'd like to go shopping with you. These things sound so distasteful. No, I do not wish to depart my knighthood. I was knighted, you see, when I was younger. Back in those amazing days, you could strike a man down with a sword, and as long as you were a bigger, stronger man, you could get away with it. As long as you knew the right people, as long as you protected the right people, you were protected by the right people. Oh, I miss the days. They'll come again, maybe in a new form, with more technology, no doubt. As I say, these times are rather troubling for us, but we'll survive, we'll evolve. Well, mortal, I do wish I've been entertaining. I'm sure there's plenty of things online that you'd like to devour with your small human eyes and small human mind. Sorry. I called you here, I shouldn't offend you. I invited you to this beautiful graveyard. It's so silent here, so quiet, so close to home for me. Oh, by the way, I was thinking to mention this to you. We don't sleep in coffins. I prefer a bed. A double bed. Triple bed perhaps. Larger bed, I don't care. King size, queen size. Just more soft space for my ever so sensitive skin. Have you seen any dayborn around? Have you realized anyone is a vampire born in the eclipse? Anyone that you know? I think not. I've been watching and you don't seem to have recognized the 3 you've come in contact with since we spoke. 3, yes, 3. 2 more reckless than others. 1 handling it quite well. They'll make a strong, strong dayborn, I can tell you that now. Not as strong as I've seen previously, but strong enough. Keep your eyes out, mortal. I'll be watching. Oh, and do feel free to wander this graveyard on your own, by your own choice. It would be more impressive to see you out and about in much more beautiful areas in the night. Good night, mortal. Farewell. Off you go, back to your bed, back to your human life, and we'll speak again another time. And maybe I'll turn you into a vampire.